"A mix-up, sir. We need you to relocate for our VIP passenger," the flight attendant, Lisa, said, her voice dripping with condescension despite her courteous words. "This seat's for Platinum members only. You don't belong here." Behind her, Deborah Langley, a sharply dressed white woman, tapped her expensive watch, glaring at Daniel, the black man in seat 2A, which she clearly deemed hers. "I always sit there," she muttered, loud enough for others to hear, her entitlement palpable. Daniel glanced up, confusion etching his features. He'd booked early, paid in full, and arrived promptly. A Platinum member, he belonged in 2A. Yet, his presence was being framed as an issue. Calmly, he pulled out his Platinum card from his wallet. "I'm a Platinum member, and this is my seat," he said evenly. Lisa's smile tightened, a flash of surprise crossing her face before she doubled down. "I understand, sir, but this seat's usually for a more valued customer," she said, gesturing to Deborah. Lisa pointed to Deborah Langley, our frequent Platinum member who flies regularly. The implication stung. Daniel's status didn't matter. He wasn't welcome in 2A. Passengers began to notice, phones quietly emerging as whispers spread. What the crew didn't realize was that this act of bias would ripple far beyond the cabin, reshaping the airline's future. Daniel, underestimated, held power they couldn't fathom. This story shows karma arriving with its own first-class ticket. Have you faced unfair treatment based on appearance? Share below. Daniel wasn't just any traveler. At 38, he was the founder of Tech Trend Innovations, a $2.5 billion AI firm revolutionizing customer service fairness. Ironically, his software tackled bias, yet here he was, facing it. Raised in Detroit, Daniel coded at 12 on a used laptop, building games while peers played them. At 17, his mother's death in a community tragedy fueled his vow to humanize technology. That promise drove 15 years of relentless work, launching his empire from a cramped studio apartment. Daniel's journey was grueling. He coded 16-hour days, juggling delivery jobs to survive. Earlier, airport cameras caught him aiding an elderly man with heavy bags, guiding him to his gate. He thanked baristas by name, tipped generously, and held doors open, not for show, but because that's who Daniel Carter was. Grounded despite wealth, kind despite influence. Now, he was en route to keynote the Global Tech Ethics Summit, choosing seat 2A for its workspace to polish his speech during the flight. Daniel flew Star Elite Airlines, the pinnacle of luxury travel. First-class seats, costing more than some monthly rents, offered gourmet meals, reclining beds, and warm towels. But Star Elite's glossy facade hid flaws, outdated booking systems and slipping service rankings. They desperately sought a tech partnership to modernize. Unbeknownst to the crew, Daniel, in 2A, led the company they courted. As he settled in, ready to work, the crew's actions were about to jeopardize their airline's future in ways they couldn't imagine. Lisa Coleman, a 7-year Star Elite veteran, prided herself on knowing VIP's quirks. She ensured Deborah Langley always got 2A, now Daniel's seat. Lisa, stretched thin by bills, relied on Deborah's hefty tips. "Sir, a Platinum member prefers this seat," she said, leaning toward Daniel. "Could you move to another section?" Her polite tone masked an expectation of compliance. Daniel, puzzled, showed his boarding pass. "This is my seat," he said calmly. "I'm a Platinum member too." The tension began to simmer. Deborah stood in the aisle, her irritation obvious. "I always take 2A on this route," she snapped, loud enough for all to hear. "It's basically mine." The cabin grew uneasy as passengers watched. Lisa shifted nervously, glancing between Daniel and Deborah. "Sir, You might be more comfortable elsewhere, she suggested, implying a downgrade. Daniel stayed composed. No, thanks, he said firmly. I chose this seat for work. Lisa's smile faded, and she retreated, casting wary glances back at him. Across the aisle, a passenger discreetly recorded as Deborah, stowing her bag, slipped cash into Lisa's pocket with a whispered, "Thanks for fixing this." The subtle bribe, caught on camera, turned a seating spat into something darker. The first-class cabin's mood shifted, eyes darted, phones captured the scene. Daniel, focused on his tablet, seemed oblivious, but the stakes were rising. This wasn't just about a seat anymore. It was a brewing scandal that would shake Star Elite to its core. Cabin supervisor Michael approached Daniel's seat, his stride exuding authority. "Sir, we need you to move for our VIP," he declared loudly, his tone implying no debate. Daniel looked up, unruffled. "I've shown my platinum status and boarding pass. This is my seat," he replied evenly. Michael's jaw tightened, his patience thinning. "Perhaps you don't understand how we operate," he said condescendingly, as if addressing a novice. Nearby, passengers shifted uncomfortably, sensing the confrontation's weight. Phones continued recording, capturing every word. The cabin's attention locked on the standoff. Deborah, clutching her designer purse, sighed theatrically. "I have a critical meeting post-flight," she announced. "This is absurd." Michael, emboldened, leaned closer to Daniel, his voice low but audible. "We can do this easily, or we can make it tough. Your call." The threat hung heavy. Passengers held their breath, waiting for Daniel's response. Most might have caved under pressure, but Daniel Carter wasn't most people. His calm resolve was unshakable. Daniel met Michael's gaze, unflinching. "I'm not moving," he said, his voice steady, 6 words carrying absolute conviction. Michael's face reddened. This wasn't going as planned. He straightened, adjusted his tie, and stormed to the cabin's front, grabbing the service phone. His agitated gestures betrayed his frustration. The cabin buzzed with tension as passengers whispered, some typing furiously on phones. What began as a routine flight was spiraling into a moment that would redefine Star Elite's legacy. 5 minutes later, the cockpit door swung open. Captain Robert Hayes, his face etched with authority, strode down the aisle, Michael and Lisa trailing. The captain's presence signaled escalation. This was no longer a minor dispute. Passengers fell silent, sensing the gravity. Captain Hayes stopped at Daniel's seat, towering over him. "Sir, there's an issue," he began, voice firm. "My crew can reassign seats for passenger comfort." Daniel's composure held, but the power dynamic, 3 standing, 1 seated, was starkly clear. Daniel looked at the trio, unfazed. "Captain, I have a confirmed seat and platinum status," he said calmly. "I chose 2A for work. No policy requires me to surrender it for someone's preference." Michael smirked, believing he held the upper hand. "If you don't cooperate, we'll remove you," he interjected sharply. The threat landed heavily. Daniel's eyebrows lifted slightly, betraying a flicker of surprise. "You're threatening to remove me for keeping my paid seat?" he asked, his tone laced with disbelief. The question lingered, unanswerable. Deborah's voice pierced the silence, shrill with indignation. "This is outrageous," she exclaimed. "I'll miss my connection. I've never been treated so poorly." Her complaint, rich with irony, drew incredulous glances from passengers. Captain Hayes, sensing the situation unraveling, stiffened. "This is your final warning," he said, voice cold. "Move, or we'll call security." The cabin tensed further, passengers' phones still recording. Daniel's next move would determine whether this ended quietly or exploded into something bigger. Daniel reached into his jacket, slowly pulling out his phone. With deliberate calm, he opened the camera app and began recording. "I'm documenting this," he said, his voice steady. "I'm being threatened with removal for refusing to give up my assigned seat." Michael's face twisted with fury. "Recording isn't allowed," he snapped, reaching for the phone. Daniel pulled it back. "There's no law against recording unless it disrupts crew duties," he said, his legal knowledge catching Michael off guard, diffusing the grab. 2 security officers boarded, their heavy steps echoing in the silent cabin. Guided by Michael's gestures, they approached Daniel's seat with practiced efficiency. The air grew thick with anticipation. Daniel remained seated, dignified despite the looming humiliation. His phone, now on his lap, kept recording. The first officer spoke. "Sir, we've been told there's a situation requiring your removal." Daniel nodded, calm. "Can you specify the policy I'm violating?" "I'm in my assigned seat with valid platinum status." The officers exchanged uneasy glances, sensing the lack of clarity. "Sir, gather your belongings and come with us," the second officer said, dodging Daniel's question. Daniel turned to Captain Hayes, standing nearby with Michael and Lisa. "Am I being removed for not giving my seat to someone who wants it?" he asked pointedly. "You're causing a disturbance," Hayes replied, the words sounding weak. A murmur rippled through the cabin, passengers visibly unsettled by the flimsy justification for such drastic action. With quiet dignity, Daniel began packing. He closed his laptop, tucked his speech notes into his bag, and stood. Deborah watched, a smug smile creeping across her face, believing she'd won. "He doesn't belong here," a passenger muttered. "He did nothing wrong," another countered. Daniel walked tall, escorted by security, his composure unshaken. As he passed Michael, Deborah slipped cash into Michael's pocket, whispering, "Thanks for sorting this." The act, caught on multiple phones, sealed their fate. Off the plane, Daniel texted his COO, Rachel. Removed from flight, they messed with the wrong guy. He called his legal team, voice firm, "It's Daniel. I was removed from a Starlete flight in a clear case of discrimination. Assemble the team." The security officers lingered, one reviewing the incident report, his face troubled. "Sir, there might be a misunderstanding," he said hesitantly. Daniel's gaze was steady. "The misunderstanding wasn't mine," he replied, already documenting every detail for what was to come. A young woman approached Daniel in the terminal, clutching her phone. "I was in first class," she said, voice shaking with anger. "I recorded everything, from Lisa's first approach to your removal. It's disgusting." She showed him the footage, clear evidence of the bribe and discrimination. Daniel's expression softened. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "This could be crucial." They exchanged contacts, her video soon to go viral. Back on the plane, Deborah sipped champagne in 2A, unaware of the storm she'd unleashed. In Starlete's headquarters, CEO Thomas Bradley reviewed financials when his PR chief called. Voice panicked. "Sir, a video's going viral. A passenger removed from our flight." Bradley shrugged. "Issue a standard statement." "This is worse," the PR chief urged. "A black man in first class was forced out for a white woman. Our crew took cash." Bradley's face paled. "Who's the passenger?" he demanded. "Daniel Carter, CEO of Tech Trend Innovations," came the reply. Bradley froze, realizing they'd targeted their potential savior. Daniel's question echoed, exposing the crew's weak excuse. Deborah's outburst cut through. "This is unacceptable," she cried, voice sharp. "I'll miss my flight. Worst service ever." Her irony drew passenger eye rolls. Captain Hayes, sensing control slipping, hardened his stance. "Last chance," he barked. "Move, or security's coming." Daniel, unfazed, began recording again. "I'm documenting my threatened removal for staying in my paid seat," he said, phone steady. Michael lunged for it, snarling, "No recording!" Daniel dodged, citing no law banned it. The cabin froze as security's boots thudded aboard. 2 officers, led by Michael's pointing, reached Daniel's seat. All eyes watched, phones rolling. Daniel sat tall, dignity intact, his phone still capturing. "Sir, you're being removed," the first officer said. Daniel, calm, asked, "What policy did I break?" "I'm in my assigned seat, platinum status." The officers hesitated, uneasy. "Just come with us," the second said, avoiding the question. Daniel's gaze locked on Hayes. "For refusing to give up my seat?" he pressed, unyielding. "You're disrupting the flight," Hayes replied, his words hollow. Passengers murmured, some shaking heads, others tearing up. Daniel, with grace, packed his laptop and notes, standing slowly. Deborah's smirk widened, savoring her victory. "He shouldn't be here," a voice sneered. "He's done nothing wrong," another shot back. As Daniel walked out, head high, Deborah slipped more cash to Michael, whispering, "Thanks for the fix." Phones caught it all, sealing her fate. Daniel's escort by security mirrored a deeper injustice. In the terminal, Daniel typed a text to Rachel. "Kicked off." They chose the wrong target. He called his legal team, voice steady. "It's Daniel. Star Elite removed me in a clear discrimination case. Get everyone ready." The officers lingered, one frowning at his tablet. "Sir, this might be a mistake," he said, unsure. Daniel's eyes were firm. "The mistake was theirs," he replied, recording a detailed memo of every word, gesture, and slight, his mind already strategizing the next steps. A young woman, Sarah, approached, clutching her phone. "I was across the aisle," she said, voice trembling with outrage. "I recorded it all. Lisa's approach, the bribe, your removal. It's wrong." She showed Daniel the crisp footage, capturing Deborah's cash handoff. "Thank you," Daniel said, gratitude softening his face. "This is vital." They swapped contacts, Sarah promising to send the video and testify. Her clip, soon viral, would shift everything. On board, Deborah lounged in 2A, oblivious to the brewing storm. In the cabin, Lisa poured Deborah champagne, fawning, "Sorry for the trouble, Miss Langley. We'll make this perfect." In the galley, Michael counted Deborah's cash, $150 for humiliating Daniel. "Nice tip," he smirked to Lisa. "Some passengers get it." They didn't know their bonus would cost them dearly. An urgent call hit the crew's radio. An admin, voice tense, said they'd made a catastrophic error. Fear flashed across Michael, Lisa, and Hayes' faces. Who was the man they'd ousted from 2A? At Star Elite's sleek headquarters, CEO Thomas Bradley was scanning profit reports when PR chief Laura burst in. "Sir, a video's going viral. Our passenger's removal," she said, panicked. Bradley waved it off. "Standard protocol, Laura." "No, sir," she pressed. "A black man in the first class, forced out for a white woman. Crew took bribes." Bradley paled. "Who is he?" "Daniel Carter, Tech Trend Innovations CEO," Laura replied. Bradley slumped, realizing they'd targeted the head of the tech firm they needed to save them. Bradley watched the video, horror sinking in. The blatant bias, cash exchanges, Daniel's calm dignity. It was a PR disaster. "How did this happen?" he demanded. Laura hesitated. "The manifest confirms it's Daniel Carter, 38, our potential $40 million partner." Bradley's mind raced. Tech Trends AI could have modernized Star Elite, and Daniel's firm held 20% of their stock. "Get me that video's reach," he ordered. Laura's screen showed 1 million views, climbing fast. The crisis was spiraling, and Daniel held their fate. In a private lounge, Daniel sat with his team, summoned by Rachel's swift response. Laptops hummed, phones buzzed, and focus sharpened. Rachel, COO, showed viral stats. 2 million views, news outlets grabbing it. Daniel nodded, calm but steely. "They showed their true colors, not knowing we were assessing their culture for the deal," he said. His legal counsel drafted plans. Communications prepped statements. The video's clarity, Michael's sneer, Deborah's bribe, gave them undeniable leverage. Star Elite's misstep was now Daniel's weapon. Back on the plane, Deborah reclined in 2A, sipping wine, smug. Lisa hovered, ensuring her comfort. In the galley, Michael pocketed the cash, joking, "VIPs make our day." Neither saw the tsunami coming. Passengers' videos spread online, hashtags like #Star Elite bias trending. A businessman tweeted, "Witnessed discrimination on Star Elite, shameful." Celebrities amplified it, millions watching. The crew, oblivious, served drinks, unaware their actions had ignited a firestorm. Star Elite's glossy image was cracking, and Daniel's next move would shatter it completely. At headquarters, the social media team scrambled. Star Elite bias hit national trends, video views at 4 million. Bradley's office buzzed with executives, faces grim. "This could tank our stock," the CFO warned. Bradley's phone rang, Daniel's office. Heart pounding, he answered on speaker. "Mr. Carter, I'm deeply sorry," he began, voice tight. Rachel's voice cut in. "Mr. Bradley, Daniel's unavailable, but he's calling a shareholder meeting. Your culture's rotten." Bradley's team froze. Daniel's 20% stake gave him terrifying power. Daniel's lounge hummed with strategy. Rachel updated. 5 million views. Outlets want interviews. Daniel's lawyer, Mark, outlined the shareholder meeting. "We'll demand accountability," he said. Daniel, reviewing the video, noted every detail. Lisa's discomfort, Michael's aggression, Deborah's entitlement. "They didn't just wrong me," he said. "This happens to countless others without my platform." His team nodded, unified. Tech Trend's stake and Daniel's resolve could reshape Star Elite or crush it. The airline's fate now rested in the hands they'd humiliated. Bradley's boardroom filled with tense executives. The video replayed on a massive screen, each frame damning. Michael's threats, Lisa's compliance, Deborah's cash. "We're bleeding trust," Laura said. "Stock's down 8%. Bradley, sweating, dialed Daniel again. No answer. "He's not engaging," the CFO muttered. "He owns enough to force our hand." Panic spread. Star Elite needed Tech Trends tech to survive, but Daniel's silence signaled he wasn't here to save them. He was here to demand justice, and they'd handed him the gavel. Daniel's team expanded, PR drafting a public statement. "We're not just fighting for me," Daniel told them. "This is for every passenger treated like they don't belong." Rachel showed new data, 6 million views, global news coverage. A senator tweeted, "Star Elite's bias is unacceptable." Daniel's calm fueled his team's fire. "They thought I'd fold," he said. "Instead, they gave us a stage." His next call was to shareholders, leveraging his 20% to force an emergency meeting. Star Elite's clock was ticking. In the cabin, Lisa and Michael sensed trouble. A passenger's phone pinged with news. Star Elite's trending for discrimination. Lisa paled. Michael scoffed. Exaggerated. But the admin's call confirmed their dread. You removed the wrong man. Hayes, in the cockpit, gripped the controls, face ashen. They'd targeted Daniel Carter, a titan whose company they courted. The crew's smug confidence evaporated. On social media, boycott calls grew. Starleet's brand, once a luxury beacon, was now a lightning rod for outrage. Bradley's team watched the stock slide 10%. "We're hemorrhaging," the CFO said. Laura's phone buzzed. Daniel's office again. Bradley took the call, voice shaky. "Mr. Carter, we're horrified," he said. Daniel's reply was ice. "As a 20% shareholder, I'm calling an emergency meeting. Your culture's toxic." Executives blanched. Daniel's stake, paired with allies, could control Starleet's board. The video, now at 7 million views, fueled public fury. Bradley knew, without Daniel's mercy, the airline faced ruin. Daniel's lounge was a war room. Mark outlined legal options. We can sue for discrimination, breach of contract. Rachel tracked social media. Celebrities are piling on. Of course, boycott Starleet's trending. Daniel, reviewing his speech, stayed focused. "This isn't just about us," he said. "It's about systemic change." His team agreed, drafting demands, crew terminations, bias training, policy reform. The video's clarity, Deborah's bribe, Michael's sneer, gave them ironclad evidence. Starleet had underestimated Daniel, and now he held their future in his hands. On the plane, Deborah, oblivious, ordered another drink. Lisa, shaken, served mechanically. Michael, in the galley, muttered, "This'll blow over." But passengers' whispers grew. That was wrong. A student posted the video, captioning, "Starleet's racist." It hit 8 million views. The crew's radio crackled. "Report to HQ post-flight." Hayes, Lisa, and Michael exchanged dread-filled looks. They'd humiliated a man whose company could have saved Starleet. Now, their careers hung by a thread, and the world was watching their fall. Bradley's office was chaos. "Stocks down 12%, the CFO reported. Laura showed boycott petitions swelling online. "We need Daniel's goodwill," she urged. Bradley, desperate, called again. Daniel answered this time, voice calm but firm. "Mr. Bradley, your crew's actions reflect your airline. I'm demanding a shareholder vote on leadership and policy." Bradley's heart sank. Daniel's 20% stake, plus allies, could oust him. The video, now global, left no defense. Starleet's survival hinged on a man they'd wronged. Daniel's team prepped for the shareholder meeting. Rachel shared, 10 million views, CNN's running it. Mark drafted demands. Fire the crew, mandate training, overhaul policies. Daniel nodded. "They showed who they are," he said. "Now we show who we are." His calm masked a fire forged in Detroit, where he'd vowed to fight bias after his mother's death. TechTrend's tech could have saved Starleet, but their actions made Daniel their judge. His next steps would redefine the airline, or end it. At headquarters, Bradley's team scrambled for damage control. "We need a statement," Laura urged. "Admit fault, promise reform." The CFO disagreed. "That admits liability." Bradley, pale, watched the stock drop 15%. Daniel's silence was deafening. "He's not bluffing," Bradley said. "He can tank us." The video's reach, 12 million, amplified every misstep. Michael's threats, Lisa's compliance, Deborah's cash. Starleet's brand was collapsing, and Daniel, the man they'd ejected, held the power to either save or destroy their future. Daniel's lounge buzzed with purpose. His PR head, Claire, drafted a statement. "TechTrend condemns Starleet's bias. We demand accountability." Rachel showed boycott campaigns gaining steam. "Public's with us," she said. Daniel, reviewing his stake's leverage, spoke. They thought I was nobody. Now they'll answer to everybody. His team rallied, knowing his 20% could force board changes. The video, now at 15 million views, was a global indictment. Star Elite's fate rested on Daniel's next move, and he was ready to act. Bradley's boardroom was a pressure cooker. Executives watched the stock plummet 18%. We're losing investors, the CFO warned. Laura's phone pinged. Daniel's office confirmed the shareholder meeting. He's coming for us, she said. Bradley, defeated, stared at the video replay. Daniel's dignity, the crew's bias, Deborah's bribe. We kicked out our biggest shareholder, he muttered. Daniel's 20% stake, paired with his resolve, could reshape Star Elite or bankrupt it. The man they'd humiliated now held their survival in his hands. Star Elite's social media team fought a losing battle. Star Elite bias trended globally, video views hitting 20 million. Celebrities fueled the outrage, amplifying Daniel's story. Rachel showed Daniel the data, public pressures crushing them. He nodded, eyes on his speech. They showed their culture, he said. Now we expose it. His team prepped for the shareholder meeting, leveraging his 20% stake. Starleet's executives, in a grim boardroom, knew Daniel's power could unravel their airline. The man they'd ejected was now their judge. Bradley's office was chaos. Stocks down 20%, the CFO reported. Laura's screen showed boycott petitions surging. We need Daniel's cooperation, she urged. Bradley, desperate, called Daniel's office again. Rachel answered. He's preparing for the meeting. Your actions spoke loudly. Bradley's team paled. Daniel's silence was strategic. The video, now at 25 million views, fueled global fury. His 20% stake plus allies could oust leadership. Star Elite's survival hung on the man they'd humiliated, and he wasn't offering mercy yet. Daniel's lounge buzzed with focus. Claire, PR head, drafted, Tech Trend demands Star Elite's accountability for systemic bias. Mark, legal counsel, outlined demands, crew firings, mandatory training, policy overhaul. Daniel, calm, said, This isn't just my fight, it's for every passenger wronged. Rachel reported, CNN's live, views at 30 million. His team rallied, knowing his stake could force change. The video's clarity, Michael's sneer, Deborah's cash, gave them leverage. Star Elite's fate rested with Daniel, the CEO they'd underestimated in Seat 2A. Star Elite's emergency board meeting convened in panic. Members, some in casual attire, rushed from vacations. Tension choked the room as they awaited Daniel. When he entered, silence fell. In his same suit from the flight, Daniel radiated authority. Rachel, Mark, and Claire flanked him, laptops ready. Bradley, ashen, stood. Mr. Carter, we're sorry, he began. Daniel's presence, calm yet commanding, shifted the room's power. The man they'd removed now held Star Elite's future, and his next words would reshape it. Bradley dimmed the lights, playing the video on a massive screen. Michael's threats, Lisa's compliance, Deborah's bribe, each frame damning. The board squirmed, avoiding Daniel's gaze. When it ended, silence gripped the room. Bradley, voice shaking, said, Mr. Carter, this isn't who we are. Daniel cut in, voice steady. It's exactly who you are. His bluntness stunned them. Board members shifted, realizing apologies wouldn't suffice. Daniel's 20% stake gave him control, and he was here to demand transformation, not platitudes. Daniel stood, addressing the board. As your largest shareholder, I have 2 demands. First, terminate every involved employee immediately. Second, Tech Trend's $40 million contract is off." Bradley flinched. "Mr. Carter, perhaps suspensions—" Daniel cut him off. "Non-negotiable, it's accountability or I pull my investment." The board froze. Dumping 20% of stock would crash Starlite. Losing the contract would cripple modernization. Daniel's calm resolve left no room for debate. The airline's survival now hinged on meeting his terms without compromise. A financial analyst burst in, breathless, thrusting a tablet at Bradley. "Stocks down 25%, he gasped. "Analysts predict 40% by close without action." Bradley's eyes darted to Daniel, the reality sinking in. This wasn't just a PR crisis. It was existential. Daniel's stake in the viral video gave him unmatched leverage. "You removed the wrong man," Daniel said, voice low but piercing. The boardroom's air grew heavy. Starlite's fate rested with the CEO they'd wronged, and he held all the cards. 3 floors below, Michael, Lisa, and Captain Hayes sat in a stark conference room, summoned without explanation. The HR director entered with legal counsel and 2 security officers, signaling severity. "Your employment is terminated effective immediately," she said, sliding folders across the table. Lisa gasped, Michael's face twisted, Hayes aged visibly. "We followed protocol," Michael protested. The HR director played the video, their bias, Deborah's cash, Daniel's dignity. "This was no protocol," she said, her tone final. "Their careers were over." Michael's voice rose. "He was disruptive." The HR director's laptop replayed the video, exposing his condescension. Lisa's silence. Deborah's bribe. "Accepting money to discriminate?" she asked, unyielding. Lisa sobbed. "I knew it was wrong, but didn't act." Hayes muttered, "I trusted my crew." The HR director was firm. "You failed Starlite and basic decency." The passenger was Daniel Carter, Tech Trend's CEO, our biggest shareholder. The revelation crushed them. Security escorted them out, their humiliation mirroring Daniel's earlier walk. In Starlite's auditorium, hundreds of employees gathered for an urgent announcement. Bradley, flanked by Daniel and his team, took the stage. "Today, we failed a passenger," he said, voice heavy. "This reflects deeper issues we must fix." Daniel stepped forward, commanding attention. "Every employee will undergo bias training by Tech Trend," he announced. Murmurs spread. Millions in costs disrupted operations. Employees saw the shift. Starlite's culture was cracking open, and Daniel, the man they'd wronged, was leading the charge for change. Bradley continued. "Starting tomorrow, Starlite grounds all flights for 48 hours. Every employee, from pilots to baggage handlers, will complete Phase 1 of Tech Trend's training." Gasps echoed. A full shutdown was unheard of, costing millions. Daniel addressed the crowd. "This isn't about punishment. It's about rebuilding trust. What happened to me was wrong, but it's worse for those without my platform." Employees nodded, some ashamed, others inspired. The grounding sent a clear message. Starlite was betting its future on transformation. Daniel's presence resonated. "This training isn't a checkbox," he said. "It's a commitment to see every passenger as human." Employees listened, some resistant, others moved. Bradley added, "Tech Trend's program will be permanent, part of our DNA." The crowd processed the scale. A 48-hour halt, millions lost, all to prove change. Daniel's vision, born from his Detroit roots and mother's loss, was reshaping Starlite. The auditorium buzzed with a mix of fear and hope, sensing a new era dawning. Post-meeting, Daniel met privately with Bradley. "Your crew's actions exposed rot," he he said. "Fix it or my steak pulls out." Bradley nodded, weary. "This is our wake-up call," he admitted. Daniel's team monitored progress. Stock stabilized slightly, but public trust lagged. Social media showed the hashtag #StarEliteBias fading, replaced by the hashtag #StarEliteChange. Daniel's demands, firings, training, policy shifts, were non-negotiable. His 20% stake ensured compliance. Star Elite's transformation began, driven by the man they'd underestimated, whose vision now guided their redemption. Training kicked off nationwide. Conference rooms became classrooms. Tech trends, AI-driven simulations exposing biases. Employees faced uncomfortable truths. Snap judgments, ignored slights. Daniel joined sessions sharing his story. "I was you once, assuming fairness was default," he said. "It's not." His presence humanized the crisis, turning skeptics into allies. Passengers noticed changes, friendlier crews, fairer treatment. Star Elite's stock crept up, but the road was long. Daniel's program wasn't just fixing an airline, it was setting a standard for an industry blind to its flaws. Michael, Lisa, and Hayes faced fallout. Michael's job applications were rejected. Airlines shunned the video guy. Lisa, once proud, saw her name tied to scandal. "You're that flight attendant," a recruiter said, ending her interview. Hayes, with 25 years flying, couldn't land even basic roles. His career, defined by one failure, crumbled. Deborah, banned from Star Elite, saw her firm suspend her. Social media dubbed her Airline Debbie, her entitlement exposed. Their actions, caught on video, followed them, reshaping their lives. Star Elite's policies transformed. New rules banned gifts for favors, ensured fair seating, and protected whistleblowers. Employee handbooks now declared discrimination a firing offense. Passengers felt the shift. "Crew's nicer to everyone," a flyer noted. "No more VIP clicks," said another. Daniel's team audited progress, ensuring compliance. Stock rose 5%, but trust was slower to rebuild. Daniel's vision, equity for all, took root, driven by his stake and resolve. Star Elite was becoming the airline it promised, one hard-won step at a time. Daniel's influence grew. He spoke at training, recounting his ejection. "This happens daily to people without my voice," he said. Employees, initially defensive, softened. His humility, same suit, no ego, won them over. Tech trends simulations forced honest reflection. Biases in split-second choices. A baggage handler admitted, "I judged by looks." A pilot nodded, "Me too." Star Elite's culture shifted, not perfectly, but noticeably. Passengers posted, "Feels fairer now." Daniel's pain was forging change, proving justice could rebuild what prejudice had broken. Bradley, in a boardroom, reviewed progress with Daniel. "Stock's up 8%, he said. "Training's working." Daniel nodded, but his eyes were firm. "It's a start. Keep it real, or I'm out." His 20% stake loomed large. Social media showed cautious praise. Star Elite's trying. Daniel's team tracked metrics. Complaints down, diversity hires up. The airline wasn't cured, but it was healing. Daniel's vision, rooted in his vow to humanize systems, was forcing an industry to confront its blind spots. Employees embraced training, some reluctantly. Tech Trends program, blending AI and psychology, was relentless. Simulations showed how bias crept into greetings, seating, service. A flight attendant confessed, "I favored elite passengers." Daniel, attending, said, "Every passenger's elite." His words stuck. Passengers noticed. Crew smiled at everyone, a traveler tweeted. Star Elite's grounding cost $10 million, but trust grew. Daniel's stake ensured accountability. His mother's loss, his Detroit grit, fueled a transformation that was rewriting Star Elite's story, one interaction at a time. 6 months later, Star Elite was rebounding. Passenger numbers rose 10%. Employee morale hit record highs. Toxic cliques dissolved, replaced by cautious inclusivity. Daniel's training wasn't a fix-all, but it was working. Audits showed fairer treatment across demographics. Black, Hispanic, Asian passengers rated service equal to white passengers, a first. Daniel's team verified data, ensuring no backsliding. Stock climbed 12%, but Daniel stayed vigilant. His 20% stake kept pressure on. Star Elite was transforming, proving change, though slow, was possible. Bradley met Daniel in HQ's boardroom. "You've saved us," he said, handing over metrics. Complaints down 30%, satisfaction up. Daniel scanned the report. "It's progress, not victory," he replied. "Keep it up." His stake ensured compliance, but his heart drove the mission. Passengers' stories, fair treatment, kind crews, echoed his vision. Star Elite's culture, once rotten, was healing. Daniel's ejection, meant to humiliate, had sparked a revolution. His resolve, born from loss, was rewriting an airline's soul, step by step. Daniel's impact rippled beyond Star Elite. Industry peers watched, some adopting similar training. His story, now a case study, inspired reform. Employees shared, "Training changed how I see people." Passengers felt it. "No more side eyes," one said. Daniel's 20% stake kept Star Elite accountable, but his vision, equity, dignity, pushed further. His mother's death, his childhood vow, fueled a legacy. Star Elite's grounding, costly but bold, set a new standard. Daniel, once ejected, was now the architect of an industry's awakening. Michael, Lisa, and Hayes faced unrelenting consequences. Michael's applications were rejected. Airlines shunned the bribe guy. Lisa, once confident, saw her name tied to infamy. "You're from that video," a recruiter said, ending her interview. Hayes, 55, couldn't land even entry-level jobs, his 25-year career reduced to one mistake. Deborah, banned from Star Elite, was suspended by her firm. Social media branded her Airline Debbie, her privilege exposed. Their viral actions haunted them, proving accountability in the digital age follows relentlessly. Star Elite's overhaul deepened. New policies banned favoritism, protected whistleblowers, and mandated fairness in seating. Handbooks now listed discrimination as a firing offense. Passengers noticed, "Everyone's treated equally," a traveler said. "No more elite cliques," another added. Daniel's audits ensured compliance. Stock rose 15%, trust slowly rebuilding. His vision, equity for all, took root, driven by his 20% stake. Star Elite was becoming the airline it advertised, welcoming, fair. Change wasn't instant, but each step honored Daniel's vow to humanize systems after his mother's loss. Daniel led training sessions sharing his story. "Bias hurts those without my platform most," he told employees. His humility, same suit, no arrogance, won skeptics. Tech Trends simulations exposed snap judgments. A gate agent admitted, "I prioritized VIPs." A pilot confessed, "I ignored complaints." Passengers tweeted, "Crew's genuinely kind now." Star Elite's culture, once toxic, was healing. Daniel's ejection, meant to shame, sparked reform. His Detroit roots, his mother's death, fueled a legacy that was reshaping an airline and inspiring an industry. 6 months post-incident, Star Elite thrived. Passenger numbers surged 12%. Morale hit all-time highs. Audits showed equal treatment across demographics. Black, Hispanic, Asian passengers rated service as high as white passengers, a first. Daniel's team verified data, preventing backsliding. Stock climbed 18%, but Daniel stayed vigilant, his stake ensuring accountability. Passengers shared. It feels fair now. Starleet's transformation, sparked by Daniel's humiliation, proved change was possible. His vision, born from loss, was rewriting an airline's identity, one interaction at a time. On a stormy Monday, Daniel unveiled his foundation's Fresh Start program, aiding those fired for bias incidents. It offered training, reflection, and job placement. Accountability isn't exile, he said at the launch. It's a path to growth. Michael, Lisa, and Hayes joined, facing hard truths. The program, rooted in Daniel's belief in redemption, showed justice could rebuild. His mother's death, his childhood vow, drove this mission. Starleet's transformation was his victory, but Fresh Start was his legacy for systemic change. Michael's journey was toughest. Raised in a home where bias was normal, he never questioned it until it cost him everything. "I thought I was fair," he admitted in sessions. "I was blind." Training forced him to see his role in Daniel's humiliation. Lisa grappled with cowardice. "I stayed silent, fearing my job." Hayes, oldest at 55, reflected, "I valued rank over right." Fresh Start's rigor, group discussions, bias simulations, pushed them to confront their failures, earning a chance to rebuild. Michael transformed most. "I enabled prejudice," he said, voice breaking. "I'm unlearning it." Lisa found courage. "Silence was my crime. Now I'll speak up." Hayes vowed, "I'll teach others my mistake." With Fresh Start certificates, they sought jobs. Lisa landed a ground crew role, low pay, but a start. Michael joined baggage handling, a humbling step. Hayes, too old to fly, taught in Fresh Start, guiding others. Their past wasn't erased, but their growth showed redemption was possible. Starleet's transformation solidified. Audits confirmed industry-leading satisfaction for all demographics. Passengers of color reported fair treatment, a milestone. "Crew respects everyone," a flyer said. Daniel's stake kept pressure on. His team tracked metrics. Complaints down 40%. Diversity hires up. Stock hit pre-incident levels. Employees embraced training, admitting biases. A flight attendant said, "I see passengers differently now." Starleet's grounding, costing millions, proved its commitment. Daniel's vision, equity, dignity, was no longer a slogan but a reality reshaping an airline's soul. Daniel met Bradley in HQ's boardroom. "Your metrics impress," Daniel said, reviewing reports. "Satisfaction up, bias incidents down. But don't slack." Bradley nodded, aged by the ordeal. "Your ejection forced us to face our flaws," he said. Daniel's 20% stake ensured vigilance, but his heart drove change. Passengers' stories, kind crews, fair service, echoed his mission. Starleet's culture, once rotten, now thrived. Daniel's pain had birthed progress, proving justice could heal what prejudice broke, one policy at a time. Industry ripples grew. Airlines adopted tech trends training, citing Starleet's success. Daniel's story became a case study in reform. Employees shared, "Training rewired my instincts." Passengers felt it. "No more favoritism," one said. Daniel's stake kept Starleet accountable, but his vision pushed further. His mother's loss, his Detroit vow, fueled a movement. Starleet's $10 million grounding set a standard. Daniel, once removed, was now an industry beacon, his ejection sparking a revolution that redefined fairness in air travel. Michael, Lisa, and Hayes rebuilt slowly. Lisa's ground job was grueling, but she valued the chance. "I'm earning trust," she said. Michael, handling bags, found purpose in humility. I'm not that guy anymore, he told peers. Hayes, teaching, shared his failure. I chose wrong. Learn from me. Their fresh start certificates opened doors, not erasing their past, but proving growth. Star Elite's transformation inspired them. Daniel's program gave them a path. Redemption, hard won, showed justice could include second chances. Star Elite led the industry. Audits showed Black, Hispanic, and Asian passengers rated service equal to white passengers, a benchmark others chased. Crew's amazing now, a traveler tweeted. Daniel's team ensured no regression. Diversity hires up 20%. Complaints nearly gone. Stock soared 22%. Employees embraced tech trends training, confronting biases daily. A pilot said, "I'm fairer now." Daniel's ejection, meant to degrade, had elevated an airline. His vision, rooted in loss, proved change, though slow, could rewrite an industry's future. Bradley and Daniel met again, reviewing year-end data. Satisfaction at record highs, trust restored. "You've changed us," Bradley said, voice heavy. Daniel closed the report. "It's progress, not perfection," he replied. "Keep it up." His stake ensured accountability, but his mission, dignity for all, drove him. Passengers' stories, fair and kind, honored his mother's memory. Star Elite's rebirth, sparked by Daniel's pain, showed justice could build. His legacy wasn't punishment but progress, transforming an airline and inspiring an industry. Daniel's impact transcended Star Elite. His Fresh Start program grew, aiding others felled by bias scandals. Airlines globally adopted his training, citing Star Elite's turnaround. "Fairness is profitable," a CEO admitted. Daniel's story, taught in business schools, showed change through confrontation. Employees said he made us better. Passengers agreed. Travel feels human now. His 20% stake faded in importance, his vision led. From Detroit's pain to global reform, Daniel's ejection had sparked a movement, proving one man's resolve could reshape an industry. In a final meeting, Bradley shook Daniel's hand. "You forced us to grow," he said, eyes weary but grateful. Daniel nodded. "Change comes through truth, not comfort." They stood, not friends but allies in reform. Star Elite's metrics, satisfaction up 50%, bias gone, reflected Daniel's impact. His mother's loss, his childhood vow, had birthed a legacy. The airline, once crumbling, now soared, a beacon of equity. Daniel's pain had forged progress. Showing justice wasn't vengeance but a path to a fairer world. Daniel's story closed a chapter, but his mission endured. Star Elite's transformation inspired airlines worldwide, setting fairness as the standard. His Fresh Start program gave thousands a second chance, proving accountability could heal. Passengers felt dignity, employees embraced change. From a humiliating ejection, Daniel built a legacy of equity, rooted in his Detroit vow. He wasn't just a passenger in 2A, he was a catalyst, showing that justice, forged through pain, could remake an industry and honor humanity's shared worth. In the electrifying saga of Daniel Carter's ejection from Star Elite Airlines Seat 2A, two searing lessons emerge, etched in the $10 million cost of a 48-hour grounding and 20 million viral video views. First, unchecked bias can ignite a corporate inferno. Daniel, a 38-year-old Black CEO of Tech Trend Innovations, was targeted for his appearance, not his platinum status, by a crew swayed by Deborah Langley's cash and entitlement. Their actions, caught on camera, exposed a toxic culture, slashing Star Elite's stock by 25% in hours and nearly bankrupting the airline. Daniel's 20% stake and resolve forced a reckoning. Firings, training, and policy reform, proving that ignoring bias risks ruin. Second, justice through accountability can rebuild what prejudice destroys. From his Detroit roots, scarred by his mother's loss at 17, Daniel vowed to humanize systems. His response wasn't vengeance but transformation. Tech Trends training turned employees' biases into empathy, lifting passenger satisfaction by 50% and stock by 22%. His Fresh Start program gave Michael, Lisa, and Hayes, whose careers crumbled under their own prejudice, a path to redemption, showing accountability isn't exile, but growth. In America's melting pot, where fairness is a $2.5 billion promise, Daniel's stand in a 500-square-foot airport lounge sparked an industry awakening. Yet, the question lingers. Will we confront our biases before they cost us everything, or wait for karma to board with a first-class ticket? Share your thoughts. Have you faced such injustice? Hit subscribe and type justice with your city, because Daniel's fight, waged across 30,000 feet of sky, reminds us equity isn't a destination. It's the journey we must all take. Have you ever faced unfair treatment like Daniel Carter, ejected from his rightful seat for his appearance? Share your story in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more inspiring tales of justice and transformation. Type justice with your city below and join our community to uncover powerful lessons that spark change. Don't miss out. Your voice matters in this fight for fairness.